What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Bullpen Mafia. We're really pumped to have a very special guest with us here tonight. It is Tayler Scott, the first South African born pitcher in Major League Baseball history. We covered Taylor's journey from Johannesburg to the big leagues, and he currently serves as a bullpen ace for the Houston Astros. We cover all things from American fast food to the outlook on the Houston Astros on the rest of the season. We're really pumped to bring this interview to you. Before we do that, though, we do want to announce merch is on the way. Bullpen Mafia. We've been working on this for a couple weeks now. We're really excited. We'll have news in the next couple weeks for some T-shirts and hats. Really exciting package. We can't wait to show you guys. As always, follow us on all socials: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram. Interact with us. Get to know us a little bit. Like and subscribe where possible. And now, without further ado, Tayler Scott. Welcome back to the Bullpen Mafia. We are joined tonight by a very, very special guest, near and dear to Petey and my heart.
Love him.
I think he's gonna have some choice words about Petey and Boston in general, maybe tonight. But we're thrilled to welcome Tayler Scott, right-handed pitcher for the Houston Astros. I call him Scott, Petey. I know you call him Scott too. I don't think I've ever said the word Taylor. So saying Taylor right there was bizarre.
Either have I, dude. You know how awkward it was coming on this podcast and being like, "Hi, Taylor," and then being like, "What am I doing?" Like, you know what I mean? Who's Taylor?
Scott, good to have you, man. Obviously, you're having off to a great start this year with the Astros. I guess first and foremost, what's going on? How's the season going? Give us a lay of land with the Astros.
It's honestly been a whirlwind of a season. Let me tell you, it's started out cold. Then we had a no-hitter.
Yes, early on. Was that first week or second week?
It was the fifth game of the season.
Unbelievable, man.
Was that your first win?
Yeah. That was the first win.
That's awesome.
That's sick.
That's awesome. What a way.
It's been a crazy season, but it's been good. It's the team's great. All the guys are great, so it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome, let's talk about Scott a second, and I'm sure the listeners are noticing that accent. No, Scott is not from Boston. He is the first MLB pitcher from South Africa, and make sure I got that right, Scott. You're the first pitcher from South Africa, born in Johannesburg. Got a crazy story in terms of background. The last probably year and a half have just been just as much of a whirlwind as probably your early years coming to the United States. But dude, how the hell does a kid from Johannesburg end up in the major leagues? Like, how many people are playing baseball in Johannesburg right now?
Hey, Scott, before you answer that, I'm just laughing because I'm thinking of Javi. Like, Javi, the people that aren't watching the YouTube here that are just listening to the podcast probably think Ernie Els is on the other line here. But you know what I mean? Like, we got a legend. We got a legend, boys. We got a legend. Sorry, Scott. Go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt.
Nah, there's probably about maybe 50 players in Johannesburg.
Really?
Maybe.
So let's talk about that a second. For the listeners, Tayler Scott came to the United States at 16 years old. You moved to Arizona, right? Scottsdale, Arizona. So you go from Johannesburg,
not a bad place.
Own. Not a bad place. No, not a bad place at all.
No.
Johannesburg to Scottsdale to play baseball. What was that like, dude? I mean, because again, it's just so rare to, first of all, have someone from South Africa playing baseball. Second of all, a guy from South Africa being the first major league pitcher. Like, this is, you made history, man. So tell us about that journey a little bit.
Like you said, it's a crazy journey. It honestly, the way it turned out is just, sometimes I have to look back and like, did that actually happen? But it was honestly around the 15 years old, I decided baseball is what I want to do. So in order to see where I stood against American kids, we decided to come out to a baseball camp at USC, with Tom House. You guys remember Tom House?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brady's
He's
guy.
probably still doing it, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he'll die on the field.
Went to one of his baseball camps. And we asked him, hey, where do I stand? And he was pretty much like, yeah, pretty average. Like,
but you're
awesome.
South African, so
Yeah. But man, you got a great voice, though. Holy shit.
it's pretty much like if you're serious about this, you're gonna have to play a lot more baseball and think about coming to high school in America to play the volume that the American kids do. And so we're like, all right, that sounds like a possibility. Then we went to another camp in San Diego, and one of the pitching coaches down there heard about this, that we were looking to come to a school potentially. And he was like, hey, I think I could get you into my high school. And we were like, okay.
Can you start tomorrow?
We didn't even ask where it was or what.
Right.
Just like, all right, if you can get us in. And a month later, he got us in, and we left for Arizona. No idea where Arizona was. Didn't know it was a desert until we got there.
Wait, Scott, did you come down? Was it your whole family? Like, or was it just like your mom, dad, everybody came?
Yeah.
Okay.
To what, for high school or the camps?
Yeah, no, like when you guys came, like when you guys moved to Arizona, like your whole, like you guys moved out of South Africa. No. Okay, just you.
We got accepted into the school, and then my dad and I packed a bag and left. It was just me and my dad.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
So then my parents had to switch off. Like my dad would be here for 6 months. My mom would be back home, and then they would switch during my high school.
That's crazy.
It's
Scott,
insane,
and in order for like people to understand the volume of baseball played here compared to what you're playing in South Africa, what was your regimen like in South Africa? Because I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, if they're saying you were a good enough baseball player for Tom House to say you were average, but you were coming from a place where baseball doesn't really exist, right? So it's like you were by far and away probably one of the best baseball players in your country. What did that look like?
Taylor, he also said Tom Brady was average too. So you guys you're doing all right.
I think it was just I've always been an athletic kid, and so I just had that natural ability to throw well and catch, and so there was that raw potential there somewhere hidden inside that I think was kind of like that average, that there's that raw potential.
You are pretty jacked, bro. You're pretty cut. You still cut? You still cut? Like you got a six pack still or no?
I wouldn't say six pack, but my body fat is stayed the same since high school.
Like what? Like, hey, tell the listeners,
humor us,
bro. Tell the listeners, like, listeners. I mean, some of you guys might want to close your ears when he drops like a single digit here, but go ahead.
It's an 8. It's like an 8 or 9.
Sorry,
God, 8, dude. I need a calculator for mine, dude. Since my career ended.
I don't want to know mine. That's why I got this hoodie on right now.
I need TC to start grabbing like. Remember those sessions? Go ahead.
The part you'll hate the most is that I don't even try. Like I'm trying to get fat. I'm trying to eat and put on weight and get fat so I can put on muscle, and I just can't.
It's just built different in South Africa.
Yeah.
Javi, do you know when we lived together, dude, in Biloxi in 16? This dude used to he loved Raising Cane's. I never seen anything like it.
Dude, Scott.
Bro, he used to dip. He'd finish his chicken fingers in his fries. He'd be dipping his damn fingers in the sauce after. That's how much he was.
We would get free canes from Biloxi,
free canes after the win.
I remember Scott. I played with Scott in the Arizona Fall League, and this guy, it was the first time I met him, and the other guys on the team had met Scott already, Ewan and Sperlin. But Ewan was like, this guy absolutely loves one spot in particular in Arizona. It was Portillo's. Dude, this guy, Portillo's Italian beef, because it was right by the Cubs complex, and Scott was drafted by the Cubs. Yes. I had never been to Portillo's. Scott would go every single day to Portillo's and get the same thing.
What would he get? What did you get?
A cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger
at the Italian.
It's a hot dog place, I know, but the cheeseburgers were really good.
Javi, what do Javi? You're like spelling this up like you got some big like Italian or like a chicken parm sub, and he dropped a cheeseburger on us.
Cheeseburger.
Oh, let's get back to Scott. So Scott,
okay.
You come to the U.S., move to Arizona, huge jarring change, but then, dude, you went from average pitcher drafted in the 5th round. So what were those 2 years in high school like that, you had this sort of huge change in, was it your body? Was it, working out, just playing more baseball?
Wasn't his body.
Yeah, no, it wasn't his body.
Wasn't his body. We know that. Yeah.
How did you go from from what Tom House said is an average pitcher to a 5th round draft pick, because for everybody listening out there that's not familiar with the Major League Draft, 5th round is that is a really high pick. Like you
decent
are
decent player, right?
A very decent player.
A Tom House average, but yeah, okay.
What was that like, Scott?
Yeah, the draft back then was a lot different. It was they drafted a lot of guys based off raw talent back then, whereas today it's more about what you can do right now. But I mean, I pretty much went from playing a baseball game once a week, practicing once a week, and that was for a month or two, to like, being in Arizona and now practicing every single day. I'm playing high school ball, then I'm playing travel ball, summer ball. So it went from one practice a week to practicing every single day. Like it just naturally, the talent and skill just kind of naturally built and grew.
And then, so you ultimately make the decision to get, pursue this professional baseball career. You go from, okay, I didn't play any baseball and, played once a week in South Africa. You are on a high school regiment. Now you're in the minor leagues. You're in the Cubs organization. You're a 5th round pick. And by the way, the Cubs at this time, right, their farm system was absolutely stacked. So
nasty.
What was that Cubs experience like? I mean, Scott, let's just look at a 3-year period. You went from living in Johannesburg, moving to the United States. Now you're in the Cubs organization, which was absolutely loaded in those years. Like, dude, give us put us in your shoes in that time period.
Javi, Johannesburg to Arizona, and then he's in the infield at the Daytona 500 doing keg stands like Matt Stafford, because he's while he's playing for the Cubs out there.
The Daytona Cubs, yeah.
Yes. Go ahead, Scott. I interrupted again. Go ahead.
You have to remember that I didn't know anything about baseball, professional baseball, before I got to America. So when I first got there, I really didn't no idea what to expect. I didn't know what pro ball was, so I was showing up to the extended, spring training and stuff, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world to play on those backfields, because it was the best field I'd ever seen. I had no idea.
It really was. Those fields were awesome.
I had no idea what professional baseball was like and everything, but I did have a run-in with the pitching coordinator like my first day.
Was it Rick Tomlin?
No.
No, it wasn't him. He was at the Brewers. He was at the Brewers, bro. Yeah, don't say it.
But I showed up with questionable haircut.
Wait, come on. What was the haircut? Tell us.
Is this something like you got going now?
For perspective, Scott used to have long hair. Like you had long, flowing, like you look like Tarzan, dude.
No, you look like Jake Owen, dude. You know Jake Owen, the country
long,
singer?
Yes.
That came later on, but in high school I kind of had same on top, but in the back,
like
it was
samurai?
like Mohawk style. But
Wow.
the Mohawk turned into like a beaver tail long hair.
That is sick. I don't know why you don't have that, dude. You're in the
dude.
You're shoving in the show right now, bro. Bring it back.
And I had a feather in it. All right?
No, you didn't.
I had a feather that was tied into it.
Come on, bro.
Dude, imagine going to a backfield and you just get punched out by this guy with a feather in the back of his.
He goes back to the dugout. Who the fuck was that kid? Oh, that's Tayler Scott from Johannesburg. And they're like,
I'm just gonna quit now. I'm gonna stop playing bass.
Yeah, but honestly, dude, he's nasty though, bro.
I showed up and it was kind of that old school regiment where it was like everybody wears pants up, clean shaven, clean cut, all that stuff. I didn't know anything about that, so I showed up and the pitcher coordinator almost had a heart attack seeing my hair. And so we kind of got into little arguments because I was like, this is professional baseball. Like, we can do whatever we want, right? And he was like, no.
That's awesome.
Little did I know, yeah.
Hey, were the Cubs tough on that? Like, Javi, you remember like with the Brewers coming in and like 2011 was my first year. Dude, there was no facial hair, no nothing. Like
black cleats.
Yeah, black, like no sweat, like no swag, no drip, no drizz, no nothing these days. Like mustaches only. And then like I feel like 2017, my last year, like obviously things start to loosen up a little bit. But like were the Cubs like that too when you came in there? Like was it just clean cut? Like
Yeah, it was super strict and I hated it because obviously I was probably $150 back then, and so I had to wear these pants up. The pants wouldn't stay up, so I had to roll them up. It looked awful.
Dude, the Cubs were probably like that until Javi Baez told them to suck it and hit it. It was like, watch me hit this ball 450 feet with three arm sleeves on. You know what I mean? Like, and the big earrings and everything like that. Dude, that guy, I'll tell you what, he was scary. Did you played with him, Scott, in a couple of years?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man. Javi, I don't know about you. I tell people this all the time when they ask about like hitters, and I know, Scott, I was just a minor league grinder. I know you're in the show now, so like I don't have much to talk about, but I do tell people when they ask like, hey, who's one of the best hitters you ever faced, or the guy that you feared the most? Dude, Javi Baez, I don't know what it was. I was terrified when that dude used to come to the bat. He would swing the bat so goddamn hard that all I could think of is, if this ball comes back up the middle, I'm dead.
You're done, buddy.
I am dead, dude. I've seen that guy corkscrew himself more than anybody in the entire, like anybody I've ever seen in baseball in general. But man, when he like, and obviously he raked off me, but like that's not a hard thing to do. But like, he was scary, man. And like, you know, we faced the judges of the world, Gary Sanchez, when he was a stud. But man, Baez, he was terrifying.
Well, nobody took swings like he did.
They didn't.
They still don't. What do you mean? They still don't.
Know,
He's still taking swings like that. So, so Scott, you have your running with a pitching coach. You're in the Cubs organization for, was it 5 years? 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. Yep.
4 or 5 years. You end up getting released by the Cubs. You go to indie ball, pitch out of your mind, get picked up by the Brewers. At that point in your career, Scott, you are in Double-A. You're pitching really well. What Petey and I knew you as, you were a fastball slider guy, and you were probably like 85% slider, right? That was sort of your bread and butter in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
And you know, we transition, and we're going to fast forward a little bit. You know, we're going to talk a little bit more about your playing, you know, in between the Brewers and where you're at now. But you know, we're listening to MLB Network or Sirius Radio today, and Scott's talking about his four-seam fastball and his changeup. So, Scott, you have this new repertoire. What's that been? That change? You've again, Petey and I knew you as a sinker slider guy. You've kind of reinvented yourself, and the numbers are you know, say the story, right? I mean, they prove themselves. You don't have to sinker slider be gone, brother.
Yeah, you better slow down before you become a starter, dude. Too many pitches.
Full pitch mix out of the bullpen. What's that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, back then sinkers were the thing. You know, getting ground balls was the thing you wanted to do, and then slowly we saw MLB and baseball start evolving and changing, and then it became the four-seam up and all that stuff, you know. And so especially last year, sinkers got destroyed in the big leagues all around, and everybody that threw a sinker it got whacked. And so during that period, I was starting to throw four seams up to put guys away, and so this year it was kind of like that transition of I got to start throwing my best pitch all the time instead of not.
Right.
Which is a sinker.
Hey, Scott. I used to throw four seamers up, and that's why I'm interviewing you at home, and you're in the big league shoving. So like, what happened, dude? Was I 5 years too late or
too late, pal?
So my shit plays in the big leagues now. Good to know. Okay, so I'll start stretching now.
I want my years back.
Exactly.
Drop the arm slot a little bit, and then it'll play.
I love it,
Scott. So you have this revelation, but you know it didn't come with you know, obviously some tough times, right? Last year was one of the tougher years of your career, I can imagine. Moved around a whole bunch, playing a bunch of different teams. You know, we talked a little bit off air about how tough that might have been. You know, obviously you mentioned for your family, you got 2 kids now, you're married. So again, put one kid. Sorry,
that's all right. Edit. We'll edit
daughter.
Yeah.
So you have your family you got to take care of. You're getting moved around like crazy. Put us in Tayler Scott's shoes, 2023. What was that like, man?
I mean, it was a wild ride. At least, you know, I played for cool teams, you know, Dodgers, Boston.
Yeah, you're damn right. Say it, baby. Say it again. Say it again for Javi. He's a fucking Yankees fan. Yeah.
Oh, Yanks would have been cool too. But and then the A's. But I mean, it was just... It just felt like the timing was just always terrible. It was just I always found myself at the wrong place at the wrong time, at the wrong end of the stick, and it just felt like no matter what you did, It was just you were going to move somewhere and go down, and so it was just kind of it was tough mentally just to stay locked in and have a motivation and drive to go out and pitch well, just because you knew it really didn't matter if I pitched well or not. But once I got to the A's, I kind of started to figure the stuff out that I have now, and it kind of turned a switch for me at realizing, what I needed to do to stay in the big leagues.
So, hey, we joked earlier, Javi, when we came on here that if you look at Tayler Scott's Wikipedia page, it looks like a rap sheet of like crimes that he did, but they were just teams that he played for. So we asked Scott, we ask everybody that comes on here. Obviously, like June 7th, 2019. You finally get the call up after all those years of kind of grinding it out. Obviously, we've heard how crazy the story is of you getting to where you were today. Just give us your call up story. Give us like, what was that day like? What was that phone call like? What was it like calling your parents and everything like that? Can you just give us a little bit into what June 7th was like for you in 19?
Yeah. So I was in Tacoma. We were about to go out to the bullpen for the game. We were watching on TV, and the Mariners were going into the 15th, 16th inning. So everybody's looking around at all the guys on the 40-man. We're like, hey, you guys better pack your bags. Someone's going up. So better be ready. And then we're sitting there. Manager walks into the clubhouse, and he's looking around, and we're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, and he says, hey, I need to see you. I was like, I knew immediately, this is it.
Wow.
That doesn't happen where the manager comes in looking for you.
Right.
So then he called me in and said, oh, you pitched 2 innings a day ago. Could you pitch tomorrow again, whatever? And I said, yeah. He's like, all right, well, you're going to do it in the big leagues.
Wow.
Unreal.
That is sick.
I was speechless. I didn't really have anything to say.
That's sick.
And then immediately I had to, the first thought I had was like, okay, I got to call my parents now because they got to jump on a flight from South Africa and get you as quick as they can.
Did they make
you do that? Yeah, well, that's
okay.
Another story.
Sorry. Yeah. Keep it going. This is good.
So then the game started, and I was in the locker room. I went in the showers and called everyone, told them that to get their butts to Anaheim. And so that was that. And then I get there the next day, and the game's unraveling to where this would be a situation that I pitch in. 100%, this is the situation that the guy pitches in. I don't pitch, right? For some reason. And I'm like, man, that's pretty weird. I wonder why wouldn't I pitch? Mind you, my parents aren't here yet. They're still traveling because it takes a whole day to get here.
Yeah.
And then they show up the next day, and then I end up pitching that game. But I'm pretty sure that the team knew that my parents were flying, and
really?
purposely did not pitch me so that they could wait till my parents got here.
That's really
my debut.
That's unreal.
That's really cool. So did did anybody ever say that to you or anything after? Like, hey man, just so you know,
no.
Okay. But I bet you that's probably the case. So that's just a cool, for everything that you did to get to that point, right? To you and your dad and then your mom, and you guys are literally switching off. You come up here for high school, you just want to get a chance, and now you're in the big leagues. And for them to kind of pull that, that's really cool.
Yeah,
man.
That's class, man. That's sick.
Awesome.
That's sick by the Mariners.
Awesome.
That's very
cool.
cool.
It worked out perfectly that they ended up getting it just in time for me to throw my first game.
Yeah,
Scott, what if the manager had said you pitched 2 innings a day ago? You ready to pitch tomorrow night for Tacoma?
You ready to go back to Biloxi?
I would be like, no, actually, I'm pitching in Seattle or nothing. I'm not pitching here.
That's awesome.
No, but that's so cool, Scott, and obviously, for your family to be there, and I know Petey just alluded to it, but your story is unbelievable, man. And did you know at that point when you made your debut, you're the first South African pitcher to pitch in the major leagues? Did you know that was a thing?
Yeah. In high school, that was the ultimate goal, to be the first to play. So throughout my whole career, that was always the dream and what I was chasing. So yeah, I knew.
Hey, you know my next question is.
I know.
You know? No, you don't. Javi, I don't think you know.
I know.
I think Scott knows. Dude, who was our boy?
I know. I knew.
You knew? Okay.
Yes.
Who was our? Yes, Unsworth, dude. Hey, remember, bro? We used to talk about Unsworth all the time. And remember, dude, Unsworth was on the fast track for a while there, bro.
Yeah.
We thought he might be the first.
Dude,
Yeah.
you ever wanted to
Isn't
piss
it-
off Tayler Scott? You
Yeah.
talked about Dylan Unsworth.
You tell me your boy
Yeah.
Unsworth this close to the show, bro.
He was in the futures game and everything, man.
Yes,
I was
that's
like,
what it
man,
was.
this is-
Yeah.
this is
my
a
boy,
lot.
my boy T. Scott got him though. My boy T. Scott got him.
He really
Yeah.
did. Hey, did he ever get to the big leagues?
No.
Okay.
No,
Do
never
you
did.
still? Do you like? I mean, is there any communication between you guys at all? I know you guys were boys for a long time.
Yeah, there's a little bit, but he's still
Yeah.
playing. He's in. He's
Is he really?
He's been like playing in Mexico and Venezuela and stuff.
Wow.
And he threw a no-hitter in Mexico a
Wow.
couple years ago. Like, he's
I don't-
still playing. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I follow him on social media anymore, but man, let me tell you something. That's one of the best follows.
Oh, unreal.
Maybe when he was like, I don't know about now, but when he was playing, man, what a follow he was.
That guy was a weapon, dude. Like, just
was-
remember the swag he would. I mean,
Woo!
dude, he was going out to the mound. It was a
Mhm.
show, buddy. It was the Unsworth show every time that guy took the mound, dude.
It really was. It really was.
So,
Go ahead, Javi.
no, sorry. But no, Scott, I mean, so you're the first South African pitcher in the major leagues, man. You make your debut. What is it like, now? Do you take a step back? You're the torchbearer. Has baseball grown in South Africa? Is it more prevalent? Are there kids now that are, trying to follow in your footsteps and really take that next step? Or is it still something that's kind of just like, on the back burner, far out from anyone's realm of possibility?
No, it's kind of taken a step backwards, to be honest. There used to be MLB used to put money into it and do camps and send big league guys down there to do camps for guys and stuff, and they stopped doing that and pulled out, and just there's a lot of corruption in South Africa, so a lot of the money that was supposed to be going to baseball wasn't, and and so no, it hasn't grown at all, honestly.
Hey.
Since people still don't even know that I exist, and I go back home.
That
I
ain't
go
right,
home,
bro. You're
and they're
lying.
like, hey, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I play baseball in America. And they're like, wait, we have baseball in South Africa? Like,
Bullshit, you do? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
buddy.
how
Yeah,
did you do
okay.
that? Like,
All right, buddy. Yeah.
So,
Hey,
wait, Scott, what was the name of that? What was the name of the rugby captain from South Africa
which
that
one?
I met? Remember I met and I sent you that ball.
Francois Pina?
Yes, Petey.
Yeah, but
that guy's name, okay? Remember
hey,
that
people
movie?
know who that is, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Like that's-
rugby's the number one sport.
Number one, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott used to try to throw it on the fucking TV in Biloxi, dude. We'd be like, hey, go to your fucking room, dude. Get this shit off the TV. We don't watch this here.
I was trying
You know?
to do the same thing last year. Was the Rugby World Cup at the end of the year, and I was like coming in early at the field, singing at the TV. I was up there and cheering at people walking in, like, what is this? I'm like, it's the Rugby World Cup. Like, what don't you understand? This is the
Turn that,
biggest
yeah,
event in the world.
Yeah,
turn
buddy.
that shit off, bro.
They're like, oh no, we got LSU versus Ole Miss. Like, chill out.
Wait, Petey. This Francois Pinar guy, I was at a work event and I didn't realize who he was until he started talking. And he's like, "Oh, I was the guy in Invictus. I was the captain of the South African rugby team during apartheid." He says this whole thing, and I remember Scott had mentioned this guy. So I waited, and this guy's signing, those weird oblong, whatever they call them, the ball that they play with.
Yeah.
Ball.
So I asked him
A
for
rugby
two.
ball, yeah,
I asked
yeah.
him for two, and I was like, "Hey, can I get one for my buddy? He's actually the first Major League Baseball player from South Africa, a Major League Baseball pitcher." And he just like looked at me with his blank stare. He was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah, like Tayler Scott." And the guy, dude, it was just a woof.
Bro, that ain't right, bro. Because
That
hey,
ain't right, dude.
It ain't
That
right.
ain't right. It ain't
'Cause-
right.
I mean, because first of all, it's an unbelievable accomplishment. The story's even better, and three, like, I mean, just look at Tayler Scott, bro. This dude is a stud, and he's 8% body fat. Throw that on top of that shit. I don't care about Victus and all, whatever movie he's in, and Gladiator 300. This guy's
The guy
got
was
8%
built, he
body
was
fat.
built like a brick wall, though, Petey. I mean, he would have tackled Scott and put him through 6 layers of hell, dude. Like,
Yeah,
there
but
was.
those dudes are built for that. You know what I mean? Taylor's built
No.
to throw 30% four-seam fastballs and just get his
Nobody
repertoire
cares
going.
about baseball in South Africa. Simple
Yeah.
as that.
Hey, open your checkbook and they will.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
Wait
Yeah.
till Scott gets his arm hearing, and then baseball's gonna be back. in South Africa, man.
100%. We love it. Let's get some camps going, baby. Let's go.
Scott, how often do you go back home?
Every other year, about.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Bring the
remember,
whole-
dude. We used to get people in spring training with all these stories. I remember there's one guy, Dalton Brown, we were in spring training, and I told him that Scott, where he lives, is just baboons would come into the windows and doors in South Africa. And dude, this guy ate it up, man.
He
was
loved it, man.
He was because I'd met him when I was rehabbing, and we get out of extended. I remember he was so scared to talk to Scott because he goes, "Oh my gosh, like I really want to ask him about the baboons and about the chimpanzees."
I love it. Yeah, did he ever ask you? Wait,
I don't remember.
So you guys played in the fall league together. Were you with the
Yeah.
Brewers still in 18, Scott?
No, not in 18.
Where'd you go in 18? Baltimore,
Rangers.
Rangers, and then to Baltimore in 19.
Yeah.
Who'd you get traded for,
Yeah.
Scott? You got traded for a big leaguer, right?
Yeah, Jeremy Jeffries.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, hey, you know what I meant to ask you too? I'm again at the career rap sheet here. Did you ever play with my buddy Kyle Regnault with Hiroshima? Lefty
No.
pitcher? No, you didn't.
He wasn't there when I was there. But I heard
But
about him.
yeah, he's a good kid. I hope you heard good things. He's a really nice kid.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
good. Just making sure. I saw that earlier today when I was going through it, and I was like, dude, if he played with Regnault, and we've never talked about that. Scott, I want the listeners to know here that obviously, like, my favorite place that you played was Boston last year. I remember reaching out to you and kind of, hoping that, either one, you wanted to live in my basement, or two, I could find you some suitable housing in the area. But for all the fans listening, when Tayler Scott joined the Brewers in 2016, he came directly to Biloxi. So his first experience with the Brewers. Javi, were you not in Biloxi that year?
I was in Arizona, and I started the year in Biloxi, but got sent back. Remember, I got sent to Arizona and wherever high it was, Brevard. But I met Scott in the fall league.
All right, so you never got any Tayler Scott love in Biloxi's bullpen.
Oh, dude, yes. The following year in 2017, we were back in Biloxi.
So, dude, yeah, sorry, I was at home, so thanks for bringing it up. It's not a big deal. My career was over then. But anyways, yeah. So, dude, when Tayler Scott came up, like, I'll never forget it. Like, obviously, we get. You're always hurting for arms in the bullpen in the minor leagues because either one, guys just don't feel like going that day. Two, guys are actually really hurt, or three, guys are moving up and down all the time, and it's hard to keep numbers down there. But when Tayler Scott came to the pen, we were in desperate need. So obviously, everyone's looking up who this guy is, where he's from. I mean, again, the story doesn't need to repeat itself for the 100th time on this podcast, but quite a history of him coming up. But then it's like, dude, this guy's a 5th round pick. He comes and he throws a bullpen. Guys are like, holy shit! Like, this guy, did you get released by them, Scott, and then picked up by us?
We were released by the Cubs, yeah.
What is this fucking thumbs up thing, Javi? Like, why does this keep happening to me down here?
Do it again, dude. Just do it again. Just wait, no.
Hey, all right. So anyway, Scott gets here. He's throwing bullpens. We're like, dude, this guy is fucking nasty. Like you said, Javi, like 2-seam, just sinker, and then just this nasty wipeout slider. Has a couple good innings for us. I had the pleasure, listeners at home, to be Tayler Scott's first ever roommate in the Brewers organization. And let me tell you, rocky start for us, Scott. Like, I just, I can feel it a little bit still here on the pod too. Like there's not a lot of love lost between us. I feel like on here, it just, and I wanted to make sure that, the people listening knew that I may be the first guy from Boston that you ever met, but one of the first lines that you hit me with, I think early on, was like, you just gave me the old, like, shaking the head, look to the side, and then, like, you're just like fucking everybody else from Boston. You guys are all the same. But you didn't even know anybody from Boston. I think you were going off of, like, the movies, like The Departed and, all that stuff. So, but I thought I was a good roommate. What do you think? Like, dude, here's the thing. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Dude, here's the thing that I think might have, like, hurt us both, is that we had a room with Steven Kolsheen. I mean, like, that dude was, you talk about, like, a tough roommate to have. We had Kolsheen, and then you and I had to cohabitate amongst him. So, like, that made it a little bit difficult. But I just wanted everybody to know that we were roommates. I kind of introduced you to the Brewers organization. So, Javi's covering a lot of your background, but I just want the fans to know that your first experience on this podcast was really, kind of living with me and getting to know what it was like. And then again, I'm just trying to be a good guy when you get here and get you some suitable housing. I don't even think I ever came in to see you play, which is a shame on me.
Shame on you.
Yeah, but Javi, I don't know with Tayler Scott in our relationship before if he's leaving tickets out at will call or he's giving me the old yeah, buddy, you got there's two over there.
Here's a link to StubHub. Wow.
Yeah, hey, send me your email. We'll shoot them over. I love it.
Man.
I love it. But yeah, that's all. That's all I really got on that.
It was, first of all, the house that we stayed in was a shock to the system a little bit. I mean, every time the train came through, I thought, I didn't know there was a train right next to the house.
Okay, I love that.
And,
you guys are living in Biloxi proper, in Biloxi.
Dude, it was absolutely ridiculous, Javi. Scott's not joking around. Like you pull out of the driveway, dude. If the signs come down for the train, you're screwed, dude. That thing's splitting in half.
The train tracks was the backyard, and I was sleeping in the living room or something at the time.
Yeah,
dude, the train came through for the first time. I thought it was coming into the house. I thought it was coming through the house.
Hey, didn't you have trouble with your air mattress too? Wasn't that thing had a couple of holes in it? I'm not gonna say it had anything to do with that, but didn't you have trouble with the air? Hey, it all comes out now. Yeah.
Luckily, I think it's the way I had a mattress. I think
you did. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. What a setup we have. But yeah, I mean, I just when people ask now, especially when this interview comes out, what do you think Scott's moment was that it really took off for him? I would say probably living with me and just kind of soaking that in and
the PD bump. Yeah,
that's what I tell a lot of people on the on these podcasts. Yeah, just what it's like, and hey. Little did you know you would eventually come to Boston and have to cohabitate with us Bostonians for a little bit. So I was able to provide that to you before you even knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, just foreshadowing,
I love it. Javi, what do you got? You got anything else for Taylor that you want to dig into here, or do you want to pick his brain a little bit on some fun facts?
No, I want to dig in a little bit, Scott.
All
obviously,
right,
you're having the best season of your career. You mentioned that the repertoire changes, but from your perspective, I guess the journey you've been on thus far. When you take a step back, do you sort of think about, hey, I've come a really long way, man. Especially, just thinking about 16 years old, moving to the States, having, just culture shock, understanding, hey, I'm going to play baseball. I want to do this. And you've done it, man. You've done it. You've done it in a way that no one else in your country has, in a country that doesn't necessarily have the infrastructure for baseball. And at any level, you made it to the highest, possible field that you can. So do you ever take a step back and realize man, I've done some really, really cool stuff in my career?
Yeah, I have. Honestly, it took me a long time to do that. There was definitely that only kind of came about last 2 years maybe. Before that, I couldn't really enjoy myself or enjoy the moment or celebrate the little wins or stuff like that because I was just so locked in on not doing bad in the big leagues and trying to stick around and all that stuff. So only lately have I actually stopped and thought about everything I've done and all the accomplishments and kind of enjoy it a little bit more than I was. But yeah, it's honestly I still to this day think about how crazy it is that I actually still made it. I mean, 1 in a billion. What are the odds that I came over here and I ended up making it and stuck around as long as I did and I am where I am now? It's just it is a little crazy to think about.
Scott, it's crazy you say too, you feel like you're fighting for your life every day in those innings in the big leagues. But I mean, your whole career has kind of been like that, right? And it's hard. I don't think people understand how difficult it is, especially when you're coming from. And I never experienced this, and Javi, I don't think you did either. But you're a 5th round pick of an organization, and then you get released and you get sent somewhere else, and it's you're bouncing around so much, man. It's so difficult mentally. For anybody, to have to go through that, to go to a new organization, feel like you got to impress them. And I mean, you look at, again, all the places that you played, everywhere you go, you feel like you have to impress people, right? And then, whether you do it or not, then you're moving on to somewhere else, right? Then you go to Hiroshima for a little bit, then you're back in the States. And it's that it's so difficult to do. And it's such a testament to you and your perseverance and what you've been through at an early age, to come here now to be doing as well as you are in the big leagues, and for you to say to us like, yeah, man, it's like now I kind of like I have some full circle moments here where I'm just kind of like I'm proud of what I've done, but at the same time, like, dude, you're having the best year of your career. You've been with the Astros. Like you're a minor league spring training invite. You make the roster on opening day, and now you're shoving for a team that everybody expects to be in contention every single year. It's so cool to see, man. I love watching you. I know Javi does too. It's obviously that much cooler that we were a part of you in the younger stages of all that, and to be able to talk to you now it just makes it that much cooler, man.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, like you said, and to think, in Japan, I was the first South African to pitch in Japan. So
yeah, that's crazy too.
Yeah, first of everything. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a ride. I mean, in the last 5 years, I played for 6-7 teams.
It's crazy, man.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Not including Japan. So yeah.
Scott, how'd you find out you made the team this spring?
It came down to literally after the last spring game. Everybody knew where the roster was at, so that night they were making the decisions, and it was between, I think there was 3 of us for 2 spots.
Wow.
And so my parents were here at the time, and obviously my wife and the kids, and we just got done with our last exhibition game. And so I get my food to go. No one's called me in to say anything. And I kind of did one of those like slow walks down the hallway.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Like, is anybody gonna come get me and tell me anything? Like, no one's saying anything. And so then I just keep walking. I get to the parking lot, and then the pitcher coach calls me and he says, "Hey, are you still here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "All right, we need to see you." I was like, "Okay." And then at the time I was there standing with my parents and my wife and everything. I was like, "All right, this is it. We're about to find out. So just hold tight." So I quickly ran back to the clubhouse, went to the manager's office, and then that's when they were like, "All right, man, we're riding with you. Go with you on opening day roster.
See glitching.
Congrats," and so on and so on, and said,
Wow.
"Thanks." I didn't really have much to say. I was just like, "All right, yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. See ya." And then I was trying to keep a straight face the whole time. Once I got to my parents and my wife. What's up?
I was gonna say, like, of those, like, we have 2 spots. There's 3 of you guys. Was Hader one of those guys, or do you think he was a shoo-in for the roster?
Yeah. Like, hey, man, it was between you and Josh, and
yeah. Hey, bro, do me a favor when you get in the clubhouse tomorrow, bro. He has big league this podcast so bad, bro. Like, I'll fire some texts off here and there, and my man's always responding. The second that Javi was like, "Yo, Tayler Scott, like, we're gonna get him on the podcast, like, let's get it going," I was like, "Dude, this will be perfect. Like let's get Hader rolling on it too." When you go in there, can you tell him, like, "Hey, man, these guys ain't gonna beat you up on there, man. These are they're the same." Go ahead.
Have you heard or spoke to remember that guy with the Brewers, Petey?
Nah. Yeah.
Let's first see what he says. If he says, "No, I haven't heard of that guy," or "I don't remember him,"
dude,
probably not gonna say yes.
You got my word, dude. If Hader says, "No, I don't remember that guy," I'll quit the pod. I'll retire from my podcasting career 6 episodes in. I mean, he definitely, dude, come on. Like, Taylor, I can't believe I just called you Taylor Scott. It's like you, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like with Hader, he's coming from Maryland and into a world where he sees me and I'm talking way too much and I got an accent, and it's like whether he wanted to be around me or not, dude. He's like, that's what I mean. He's probably like, "Dude, will this kid just pipe down a little bit? Holy shit!"
Oh man.
So you're the typical American that we would talk about in South Africa.
100%. Right.
They pointed the board. This is an American.
Right. Yeah, look at him. This kid's just a sore thumb over here, boys.
Oh man, Petey, I know you had some fun, like, quick hitters for Scott. Why don't you lay them on him?
Yeah, well, actually, Javi, before that, I've been thinking about this a little bit when you started talking about Scott's repertoire this year and what it used to be and what it is now. So I love to ask this question of all the big leaguers we have on the show, because analytics probably ruined my career, but it seems to be helping out a lot of other guys. So here's my question for you. when you're talking repertoire these days, or you're throwing four seamers more, or change ups and stuff like that, or changing sort of what you do, and the results are obviously there, especially this year. Is that stuff that you're learning like from analytics? Like has analytics changed? It's obviously changed a lot since you came in 2015 or 2016 was your first year? What was your first year with the Cubs? What was the draft?
11.
Okay, my bad, dude. Good research. Good research, Petey.
Hang in there,
joke. Fucking joke, dude. Sorry, that's embarrassing. But anyways, so like, okay, I also came in at 11, undrafted free agent. But I get to 2017, the game starts changing a little bit. Like my last spring training, you start to see it a little bit more. So again, back to my original question is, I don't like analytics because I think it I didn't do anything that's going to jump out analytically, and I'm home doing this podcast. But with you, do you think analytics has helped you in your career?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kept me around, and that's why a lot of teams pick me up in the first place and want me, is because some of the analytics that I have.
Like what in particular, I guess, is what I should be asking. Like what spin rate, or is it?
Well, it's kind of changed over the years. I guess in the beginning it was, the slider that I had was an elite slider analytically. At the time it was the gyro, the gyro slider. So it was really hard and
relax, dice guy, relax. Yeah, relax. You got a gyro. You had a gyro back then. Okay.
And then I had the sinker, which was also above average, I would say, at the time. And I think the slider especially is what kept me around mostly. And then the last year, it kind of started, the analytics side of it switching to more different stuff. Then it was that whole approach angle. That started to come along pretty strong since like 22.
Can you explain that to me and the listeners, what that means? I really have no idea.
So pretty much it's what angle the ball is coming in from your release, right? So if you think about Justin Verlander, his angle is extremely
straight
steep,
over the top,
straight down. Right? So they're both coming at a very steep angle. And so with me, it's the opposite. Because of my lower slot, I'm throwing the ball from a more flat angle. So when I throw a four seam, it comes in very, very flat. And so it has that appearance and that what they talk about, a rising fastball. Yeah. It has that illusion that because it comes from a low slot, it kind of just stays and almost looks like it's rising. Okay. And so it's very tough for hitters to hit it, because one, it's completely different than what they're used to and to used to facing, and then also it's just a tough pitch to get on top of and do damage with.
Okay, I got you.
That was the one thing, was the vertical approach angle, and then my slider started turning into a sweeper, which so a couple years ago the sweeper became a huge thing, and everybody wanted to a sweeper.
I feel like you always see it now more than ever, right?
Yeah. Now it's almost going backwards. It's like the sweeper's kind of like not good anymore because there's so many of it and guys are learning how to hit it.
Okay.
Is that the secret, Scott? Just start throwing what no one else is throwing until people start throwing that, and then throw something else.
Yes.
Petey, let's go see Tom House, bro. We're gonna say, hey, Tom House, I have a couple things for you. Number one, Tayler Scott's in the big leagues with a 1 ERA. Number two, help us throw something that no one else is throwing.
Bro, I'm literally gonna get on I'm gonna get on the treadmill right after this.
All the starters in the big leagues that are four seam guys that ride four seam guys. Now that all of a sudden they're starting to throw two seams. They're starting to throw sinkers because now everybody's getting geared up for that four seam up, to where now sinkers are starting to become effective because no one's looking for it anymore. So it's always, MLB's always like that.
Javi, I'm laughing too because I just like talk about like just changing arm angles or different slots or different pitches. I remember one year Xavi was like, "Hey, why don't you come back next year, like in spring training, and like, maybe give me like a couple low 3/4 or like a sidearm release." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. I'm doing it all off season, right?" we get to spring training, dude. I do a couple in the game, and I come back. I'm like, hey, what'd you think of that? He's like, fucking no different. And I'm like, what do you mean, dude? Like this hurts. This hurts, man. I'm just trying to hang around. Dude, I watched the film later on. Javi, literally all it was like, I was like falling off to the left side a little bit more, but my arm was in the exact same spot, but I felt like I was throwing like submarine because I was like.
You thought you were Dominican jumping off the mountain.
100%, bro.
It
literally was the exact same. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay, never mind. All right, yeah. Back to the drawing board.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Well, Scott, I mean, look, I testament to you, man, because you've had to evolve and adapt, right, to different organizations, different phases of baseball, right? You came in 2011. You've been 13 years now in professional baseball, a long career. You've evolved. Insane. You've obviously been on a bunch of different teams, so good on you, man. I mean, look, it's a testament to not only the caliber of player you are, but the character, man, because I think. For as many teams as you've played for and some of the ups and downs you've had to come out on the other side at this point in your career is really special, man. And I think that, obviously you're someone that Petey and I have really fond memories of, but I think, on a national and international level, Tayler Scott should be a household name, man, for sure.
I agree.
Everyone in Francois Pinar, when he listens to this podcast, is going to remember that he signed a ball for Tayler Scott.
Bro, let's get this going in the Republic of South Africa, huh? Come on.
We're trying. I'm trying to get my name out there, but no one wants to take it. Just
hey, honestly, hey, this pod may be all you need, bro. This might be it.
Listen, Toad is good at stirring things up, man.
He really is.
He's gonna make some posts and he's gonna make them all look all cool, and he's gonna tag South African celebrities in it. And we're gonna get the conversation real. Tayler Scott's gonna be back after this, dude.
He's gonna be running. Hey, this winter he's got a camp coming. Tell your friends. Get the sign-ups going. We might start a link. We might get a link going.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Well, Scott, we're coming up on 50 minutes, dude, and I think obviously Petey and I have enjoyed it. The listeners are going to really enjoy getting to know your story, and I know I just alluded to some of the your character and what we think of it, and what we think of you, man. It's obviously your story is fantastic. It's inspiring. I think for everyone that's out there and thinks that their career is coming down to an end. Look at Tayler Scott's Wikipedia page and tell me that dreams can't turn to reality. At 16 years old, this guy's playing baseball in South Africa, and at 32 years old, he's got an ERA under 2 in the big leagues for one of the best teams in Major League Baseball, Houston Astros. So Scott,
grinder, bro,
absolute grinder, bro. And I will say, Tayler Scott runs like a deer, bro. One of the best athletes I've seen on the baseball field, regardless of position. I'll put him up against anybody, dude.
I was gonna say
anybody.
Javi, like the way he runs down a football, but then he's gonna be like, "What is that, a rugby ball?" Or then he's gonna be like, "What is that, a soccer ball?" I'd be like, "Forget it." Dude.
The way he said LSU against Ole Miss, Scott's never seen a football.
That pissed him off, bro. That hurt him to even say that, dude. Yeah, no, it does. It does. But what we're saying is like that. I just feel like that was. You could feel the disdain in your voice when you mentioned 2 college football powerhouses that you don't give 2 shits about.
That's the worst time of year is when you walk into the locker room and you have a dude with 2 iPads, his phone, TV.
That's the best time of year, bro.
Oh my god!
You don't play fantasy football in the clubhouse?
Let's get Scott in our fantasy football league.
That's
the Mafia
what I'm saying.
League.
Do I play fantasy?
Yeah.
No, you'll never ever catch me.
That's our goal.
Yeah.
Scott, we also need, dude. We need a photo of you. AZL year 1 with a feather in your hat, just punching dudes' tickets in 2011. Dude, I cannot imagine. It's 125 degrees in Arizona, and you go back to the dugout after punching out to this South African kid with a feather.
Dude, please show us the haircut at some point. Can you for the fans? We'll throw it up on the Instagram.
I think I got a picture somewhere I could find.
That's awesome. Well, Scott, dude, thanks so much for coming on. We're gonna post out your socials. We're gonna make sure people following Tayler Scott, man. You got an amazing story, and again, first major league pitcher from South Africa. We're gonna shout that from the mountaintops, bro. We're gonna make sure that everyone and their mothers knows that. So, Scott, thanks so much for coming on. I wish you continued success, man. We love following your career. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.